The Commonwealth has accused Karen Read of striking her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her car after a night of drinking and leaving him in the snow to die. The defense is saying, as they said in their opening statement, that Karen Read was framed and this is all a cover-up.
In receipt of your note, I am writing to inform you on behalf of the jury that despite our exhaustive review of the evidence and our diligent consideration of all disputed evidence, we have been unable to reach a unanimous verdict signed by your foreperson.
They said they were diligent.
We all know how hard you've been working. Lunch will be arriving shortly. When it comes, I'd ask you to clear your heads, have lunch, and begin your deliberations again. Or continue your deliberations. All right? So I'm sending you back out.
All rise for the court, please.
The jury came back with a note this morning in the Karen Read trial on day 4 of jury deliberations saying that they have done an exhaustive review of the evidence and are unable to reach a decision. After talking to the lawyers, the judge brought the jury out into court and then said, look, have lunch, clear your head, take more time to deliberate. I think if the jury says the same thing at the end of the day, the judge is probably going to give them the weekend. It is a Friday. The judge is probably going to tell them to go home for the weekend and take a break and come back on Monday and try to resolve the case, which means we may have a final resolution on Monday. I don't know if the judge will do that today. I think she's going to want them to take the weekend to sleep on it, to talk about it, and we will see. Maybe the jury comes back on one of the lesser included. Maybe they don't. This is a difficult case where if you believe one way or the other, it's going to be hard to sway someone because of the weight and consequences of this case. The jury knows it's a murder case. And that is something that when the court says you can only convict if you find her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty, I can see there being jurors saying, I can't believe this to a moral certainty. And I can see jurors saying, I think she did this and I can't say otherwise. And that is where you end up with that hopelessly deadlocked jury that cannot come to a unanimous decision. And again, the longer a jury deliberates, the more likely it is that it's because they cannot reach a verdict. So in this case, if they do not reach a verdict, if they go back and deliberate and still do not reach a verdict, eventually the judge will give them a stronger instruction and send them back again. And then if they cannot reach a verdict on any of the charges, the court will declare it a mistrial. And then they will set a future hearing date and they will come back to court and decide if they are going to continue prosecuting the case, if they're going to retry it, if they're going to change the charges, if they're going to dismiss the charges. And then the prosecution has a lot of options on how to proceed forward. But what that means is we could do this trial again. If that's the result, they could bring in a lesser charge and allow Karen Read to resolve the case for a lesser charge. I don't know if she'd be inclined to do that. I don't know if the prosecution would be inclined to do that. They could dismiss the case and not retry it. There's a lot of options here, but I would be surprised at this point if this jury is able to reset and come to a decision. I think what we will probably end up with here is a mistrial. The jury gets to make this decision and they have to be able to rest well with the decision that they make. And if it was you and you felt a moral certainty one way or the other, is there anything anyone could do to change it? And that's where we're at in this case. Law Nerds, I will see you soon. Stay posted in the Law Nerd app. Bye. For deep dives into the stories that I covered here, you can find them on my YouTube channel at The Emily D. Baker and The Emily Show podcast. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. The podcast goes live on Wednesdays. And if you want to stay in the loop with everything I'm doing, receive the fastest notifications out there, and get more Law Nerd community, join me at lawnerdapp.com, our free app for iOS and Android.